Hi everyone, and welcome to our humble abode, or welcome back if you've been here before. Hope the new year is treating you well. Here in the UK, it's been a bit snowy, a bit icy, typical winter fare, not my thing at all. I just look forward to spring when some of the warmth and colour comes back to our little corner of the world. Right, you find fools here in Mythdrana, kind of chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, I guess. Now, I say I touched on this. I think the whole community went in on this big time when it first came out, didn't it? This business of the rare loot in general. Now, whilst I'm not changing my mind at all on the fact that I would never, never plan a build, including one of those things, unless I'd been lucky enough to find it, during the course of just random questing. I would never go and nosebleed farm one of these things. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't be fun. But I do accept that this expansion in particular has maintained some longevity with plenty of the player base on the back of these rare items like the Autumn Equinox from the is it the Voices of the Dead, particularly sought after for like barbarian builds, or the thing I'm hunting for today, the shield out of it's the Dragon Quest, isn't it? The one in the public area here, which has the distinction, as far as I know, of being the only shield to have both guard breaking and the legendary conditioning bonus to hit points on it. So that would be a really nice grab if I could get it for a dwarf paladin build I've got planned. I'm going to try and convert my tank, which was an out-and-out tank, like a beginning character, really. It was an out-and-out tank. I think I've shown it you before. I did the demo of the new, what's it called? That thing that gives you up to 50 more PRR and MRR. I can't remember what the mechanic is, but it's new in a recent update. And I was showing you that with my little dwarf. You use the Celestial Mandate out of the Sentinel tree to trigger that, among other things. So yeah, for our little group, characters tend to need to be a bit more multifaceted. An out-and-out tank is a little bit of a waste of a slot for us. So I was going to try and create him more to do some damage while still maintaining the tanky element. And because he started off life as a dwarf, I want to keep him as a dwarf, use dwarven axes, go deep in the dwarven racial tree for the axe favoured weapon, counter damage, that kind of thing. I just thought it could be a fun little build to do. So watch this space for that one. It's going to take me some time to put it all together. But that's that long and short of it. I've been once a day maybe I go into this dragon quest, as I call it, because there's a nasty dragon at the end. Just in some vain hope that I might find this what's it called? It's a golden age large shield at the end of this particular rainbow. And I just think whilst I will never change my mind, I would never include this kind of loot in a build unless I actually happen to have it. I would never go and nosebleed farm for it. But the fact that it's just there, like sort of winking at you when you do the quest. You set out to do a certain quest in a chain. You think, oh, there's this that could drop in here. I don't know. There's a little bit of an appeal there, provided that you don't think to yourself, "Oh, I must have this," or "I just can't do this build." To me, that's not the right way to think about it. It's just something that could be if you happen to get it to fall for you, then it's a memorable day in your DDO time, like maybe the day that the Jack Gibber's blade dropped for you or something like that. So to me, there is there is a certain appeal there to just. I mean, that's what we tend to do as a group. The things that we're looking for. If we get together on any given day, we have a little list, as I mentioned, and we just run these quests one time. No nosebleed stuff, just one time, and we get what we get. So I figured, that being the case, maybe we could start off by facing up to the dragon here with my Shadekai Barbarian Fools, who you've all seen before. This build has just been, I mean, for a non-melee player, it's been a terrific Ettercap thing for me, for the melee side of things. I've had great fun doing it, mega survivable. It's just been, I suppose a lot of it goes down to the specific properties of the weapon more. It's got some nice CC on it, without that salt on there, I think, and the guard breaking as well, of course, I think I would have been in a lot of trouble. But that it just gives him the possibility to go and confront a pack of things, even nasty Red Crown type stuff. And if he can CC them before they get a nasty shot in on him, then he's always got some chance. Of course, against the end boss it doesn't work, so I have to swap weapons for that. What was I going to mention before I go in? Yes, we have as a group actually found 3 of these golden shields, but all 3 of them have been in the Portal to Below quest, so the Golden Tower shield. Now, I'm slightly gutted at that, because that one, I mean, it's all right, but to me it's not special, not like the one from here would be. And if I could happen to find it in a live recording, I can't tell you how memorable that would be. But we've got to beat the dragon first, and he's no mug. I think the biggest thing with him, if you don't have the pack or you haven't seen it before, when that symbol comes up on the screen, that circle, you better block, because it means his special move's coming. Even if he happens to be dead, that special move will tear you apart. It comes in 3 installments, I think, and you've got to try to hold the block key, even if you don't have a shield, and take the heat out of that, the sting out of it, because otherwise it's game over, as I've found several times to my cost. Just get some of the basic defenses up. Try and go into the encounter invisible, so they don't pick up too much on us. That Shadekai invisible rush is just awesome for that. See how they're all going fairly sluggishly once I've hit them once. And I have plenty of AoE to be able to hit a group once all together, which is lovely. Kind of subdue them before things get too terrible.
You found a cave?
Refresh the temporary hit point barrier in between fights. Typically for me, path of least resistance, try not to engage things if I don't have to. Can we leave that Despair Reaper down there? Or is it going to follow us? Don't know. Oh, he's going to follow us, is he? Yeah, okay. Thank you, guard breaking. One more time. Stone guard, the absolute bane of my life.
The freed elf tells you his story. It seems that the Ettercaps take their captives.
So anything that can be CC'd, we're in good shape against. That includes this bear here. again, let's just try to rush down there and back up
Examine the
there
marks on the ground.
without
Something
engaging
big was
anything.
here recently. Something larger than an Ettercap. Much, much larger.
I could have sprint boosted down there, but I was wary of the fact something nasty could have come up and I might have needed my haste boost at that point. Same deal here, rushing in invisible.
The way into the cave is empty. The terror that lies behind the Ettercap's raids awaits within.
Okay. Now comes the pain. So let's prepare properly. We'll put the primal scream back on, redo our rage defense here, redo our trance, and just hope that we can grind him down before he does the same to us.
The Ettercap kidnapped the elves to appease something much more powerful. A large, hungry fang dragon.
Come on. Trying to keep a level of temp hit points going, just as a bit of a barrier against him. Not always being successful. Now that's the thing we've got to absolutely block. Oh my god. Okay. Don't die now. Come on. Don't die. Oh my god, that was tight. How many did we end on? We were running on fumes there, weren't we? With the 10 hit points, my god. Oh wow. I wonder, any of you folks who run this type of build, do you make it easier for yourself to restore the big... I was using, as you could see, the blood tribute there, just to take the edge off some of his attacks, but the big one, the 1400 barrier, comes from the Blood Feast filigree in conjunction with the Rage. But to get that, I have to swap in another weapon. Do you folks actually put it on your main weapon? Because I could have just swapped out... No, I could have just unraged and re-raged to get that big barrier, which would have helped me really significantly there, to not be in quite such a close shave. But again, I would have to give up 5 filigree slots on the main weapon to do that. I think most people would put it on a swap thing. But against a big boss on my own, it does mean I can't really easily do the reacquiring of that 1400 barrier, which is a significant help to survival. So maybe I need to have a look at that. My god, I thought I had it. It's the Fallen Age equivalent. So at least we found something. I mean, that isn't bad. Profane Life Force, Legendary Conditioning, Shield Bashing on there. It's not bad at all. But the golden one, as I said, is the one to include the guard breaking. So the search goes on. Right, I've got plenty more to show you, good folks. So, actually, as we're that was kind of a cliffhanger at the end, wasn't it? You noticed how borderline it was when I stopped waffling for a minute. I'm thinking, are we going to make this or not? So I want to take a moment. I wondered whether I should mention this last time. and I didn't because it was totally unrelated to anything on here, but I'm going to mention it now. To any of you folks watching from America or anybody who just follows it in general, I've been a fan since my young days of the Chicago Bears American football team, because when I was a youngster growing up, they were winning the was it Super Bowl 20 in 85, I think it was. And it wasn't so much the fact they were successful that drew me in. I suppose that didn't hurt, but it was the characters, the personalities they had, notably Jim McMahon. But also there was, of course, the legendary Walter Payton and the refrigerator and all this kind of crowd. So I had great fun watching them. And for anybody who follows, you'll know that they've been in the doldrums recently. I think I'm right in saying they hadn't won a playoff game for, was it 15 years? And this season, having been dreadful the last season, predictably so, new coach, and all of a sudden they're a winning team coming back, is it 6 times in the regular season from losing positions? And then last night, as it was for me, I went to bed with the team losing 21-3 at halftime in this enormous playoff game against the divisional rivals, the Packers, thinking, well, this has got to be it, and it's bedtime. It was 2 o'clock in the morning for me, so I thought I'll just leave it. You know, miracles might happen and that, but I'll check the highlights in the morning, see what happens. And lo and behold, yet again, they dig it out of the fire and advance to the next stage. I just couldn't believe my eyes. So I guess the moral of that story is just never give up. And if there's any of you out there that are fans, did you see the game? What do you think to the turnaround in general? I think it's quite a feather in the cap for the new coach they've got. I mean, 7 wins now from losing positions, and these comebacks I mean, when they're seemingly dead and buried, it's just unreal. It leaves you wishing that they could, they could play at that level from the start. They could blow teams away, couldn't they? But anyway, I've digressed big time, as is my wont on this channel. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the Canith Crafting Hall now, because there's something really nice that's come to my attention from reading a forum post. Any of you that's got Quivers of Alacrity, maybe like me from the anniversary event, the 15-year anniversary event, they did a special box, didn't they? And this was one of the possible choices. Maybe look out for it in the 20th anniversary, which is coming up this year, because it's for anybody who's doing regular TRs, it's a really nice character, a really nice item to have. And what I've come to realize this week is that it can be passed to multiple characters. As it says there, it's bound to character, but being as it's a container, we can go to a crafting station, just type in arrow, just craft anything on here, holy arrows +1, that's what I did, I think. And if we click on the quiver, gather, I don't think we want that one in there, but it's gathered our holy arrow that we made. And these holy arrows, or these arrows in general that you can craft in the Canith crafting, they're bound to account, not bound to character. And you'll see now the binding status of the quiver has changed to bound to account. Apparently the developers are aware of that, and it's cool. It's not like a bug or anything. So now you can have, provided you've got one of those quivers, you can have 30% the max run speed on any character that is TRing from level 1, because that can go in the bank now and be transferred to anybody you wish. I know, Brian, I know, inventory mess. The offer's still open if you ever want to hire out your services. So there we go. If the bank will just get going. Yeah, there we go. So I thought that was a really nice little tip, and I wanted to share it with anybody it might be able to help. I'd never come across that, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there who haven't seen it either. It's kind of a legit thing to do. It's in the main DDO forum, so I'm not putting anything out there that the developers would frown on, I don't think. So yeah, one quiver suits all. Happy days. What else have I got noted here? Oh yeah, I actually posted in the forum about this. There was we had it last night. Quite a bit of lag and just jumping about. Nothing like the crippling lag we had on Orion where we came from when the community decided to make a mega server of that one. But it was noticeable on occasion, which has prompted me to mention this rather laughable incident we had recently. We were doing our daily questing, looking for specific items. We were in that too many cooks quest that I showed last time, and all of a sudden my archer Red just disappeared, teleported out of the quest, and I realized with the things that were flashing up on the screen, it was a ship portal thing that I'd clicked multiple times on and failed to activate like 15 minutes ago that suddenly activated and whipped me out of the quest. So I just thought I'd mention it. Sometimes when it's not often that happens, at least not for me. This is on Moonsea, by the way. But that was an amusing thing. So because it was Reaper, I couldn't go back in. So our little team was left to complete the quest without me, which some of them would tell you was probably a bonus. I've read other things in the forum about similar things, people going in quests and then like 10, 15 minutes later, a bank tab has popped up mid-quest and made things a bit interesting for them. Right, what else have I got? Oh, yes, I'm going to have to swap characters to show you this one, because this is a bit unreal as well. You would think the amount of time we've been searching for this, we've been looking for the icon. It comes from the new. Is it Swimming with the Fishes quest in the harbour? We've been looking for the trinket there. I can't even remember what it's called. Icon of something or other. I think it's got cold absorb and 3 profane on stats, which is a nice draw. I've checked several times to make sure it's not a rare, because we just cannot find it for this character we're looking for. So we run it religiously and keep hoping. But what has happened, we keep finding these things which actually are rare. These fish sticks. I think there's 3 of them now that have come out of there, and this latest one, I've been compelled again to put it on my caster purple, because I have had an issue on him with diversion, threat reduction, with him pulling attention away from our tankier characters or our melees in general. And if that happens, it's a disaster, because he's sort of running around trying to avoid a boss, and then melees can't hit it, and it's just a mess. So I need as much diversion there as I can, and the fact this has got a mystic diversion and insightful mystic diversion, I thought, right, we're going for it. That coupled with the force power and crit, which Cold Druid uses anyway, I thought we'd have a go with it. And it's brought me to where are we? Would it be under spell casting? Yeah. So spell threat minus 94, which is as good as I've ever had. I've managed to get 60 from. No, you're in the wrong tab, matey. 60 from this one. Imperceptible casting. You can see there's 30 on there, but I took the discipline feat with my extra feat for being a human. So we've got 60 from there, and another 34 from the scepter we've now got. And he's doing a lot better with that. So that's been great. On that subject, this draws me into something else about the game in general. The just general needless levels of complexity and things that, you know, even developers might not want to or can't explain. I've heard recently that if you go over 100 on the threat reduction, it actually starts increasing threat again. Whether there's any truth to that, I don't know, but I have seen that posted in various threads. My melee fools that you've just seen has got exactly 100, and I think my ranged character Red, depending on the quiver he uses, can have minus 110 or minus 95. So I think they're all in a fairly good place for it. But I just wondered at that. I mean, we've had a discussion already on here, haven't we, about the helpless and what causes helpless, what doesn't, and that's just a total minefield. And one of my recent bugbears is the magical resistance, MRR. It's great when it applies, you know, to the standard things, the acid, fire, cold, all that kind of thing. But then you realise that the force from like Nothics and whatnot totally bypasses that. And one I saw recently, evil damage, another one that totally bypasses MRR or alignment damage in general, I think. Because I'm still bitter because I got one shot recently by an evil spell from a Forge Wraith in the cogs. I forget what, I think it was Darkfire he cast. And on that same evening, my poor druid here got horrid wilted one shot again, so not good times. But yeah, I wish things could be a little bit simpler. It never is it, with this game? It's almost one of these that there's like a thing that how things are supposed to be, but then there's this exception and that exception. It's kind of need to know basis. So yeah. All that to just show you my new fish stick, which I don't even think I've done, have I? There we go. We've got I think that's just called the legendary fish stick, which it looks quite colourful. And then on the other side we've got a fried fish stick. And I think there's also a frozen one that so he's got a choice of 3 now. And we've found these 3 rare things while searching for one non-rare that we still haven't found. So go figure. Right, moving swiftly onwards. I'm guessing plenty of you don't go in the red fens anymore because there's so much choice of content now around that level, both in epic and heroic. I tend to do it in epic just for tokens and that kind of thing. I'm one of these who likes to earn the tokens on the way up rather than mess about getting them when I need them at the capture TR. So red fence chain is one of the ways to do that. And it's occurred to me recently that in company with many of you, I'm sure, I'm not a fan of these escort the NPC quests. So the Refuge of the Ancestors, the first one in that red fens, Vircha Eterves, is one such. Let him die, and that's a quest failure condition. And I was thinking, oh, I'm doing all right here. I'm, you know, keeping him alive. I was doing it solo, so it was all on me. And my lack of prowess, shall we say, in the healing department and paying attention to people's bars is fairly legendary in our little group. So I was doing okay with that, keeping him alive. And then the second phase of that quest comes around. And I distinctly remember him saying, oh, stop the Soagin. I will be safe until you return. So I took him at his word, and I goes out into the surrounding area. I'm busy stopping the Soagin, as he suggested, and I looks round. Not 10 yards behind me, he's there engaged in the outer area with one of the Soagin, busy getting the living you-know-what kicked out of him. And I'm thinking, what the hell, game? So I rescued that situation, and I then came to the realization that he's a total liar, and he's not going to stay always in the central area. So just be warned, if you've not seen that before, he can and does go out of that area during that phase 2 and cause trouble for you. Right, another transfer coming. This is this dwarf Oh, he's not a dwarf at the moment, but he's going to be a dwarf paladin for our group eventually. I'm kind of preparing him, just giving him a few of the most optimal past lives I can think of for the build he's going to do. I've discussed this in the past, past life prioritization. So in the case of this one, which really didn't have much, I think he had a couple of paladin lives as a tank just for the healing amp. I'm going to try and give him some double strike and extra melee damage. So on the epic life side, we're going for obviously double strike. We're going for the weapon enhancement, and eventually I'll go for the primal. What's that one that gives you +2 to attack and damage when you have a two-handed weapon equipped? I can't rightly remember, but that's what the one I'm going for. And we're coupling it with the iconic Asimar Scourge, which is at the moment. You can see the lighthouse beacon eyes. That's for the six more double shot from the Scourge toggle. So I'm just prioritizing the things that'll give him the biggest bang for the buck, and then get him to the end build in a relatively short time. But the reason we're on here is doing a Dragon Lord at the moment. So we've got Dragon Lord tier 5s, and I'm quite enjoying these. Well, I like any wings, but this particular one, the Flight of Kings. Can I send myself to an area where I won't just fly off the ship if I do it? It's occurred to me that we can do this while on horseback, and it doesn't knock you off the horse, which is quite rare because most wings or things would do that, especially the like spring attack type thing, which is obviously an attack, so I would expect that to knock you off the horse. But the flight doesn't, and it also do we have yeah, it also doesn't break invis. So I just thought I'd mention it because I quite like that. That coupled with the little mini speed boost that you get a few seconds after you trigger it, I've enjoyed having it. I'm spoiled for wings on this life. With the you can do a double if you need to do flight and then spring attack. So yeah, I've enjoyed that. I just enough that I wanted to point it out. What else have we got? Yeah, we were talking in passing. I think this was with you, Tom. We were talking about raids in general and the fact that I've, since transferring to Moonsea, I'd hardly done anything. I mean, typically with the raids, I don't join when it's. I mean, I'll join some of the older Reaper 1 raids. I'm all right doing that, but typically, like if it's Reaper on threats old and new and that kind of thing, where the more seasoned characters will go, I won't go with that. My objective with those raids is just to to get a completion and get some nice rewards at the end potentially. That's my objective. I'm not one for pushing the levels, nor do I typically have the characters that could do that. My ranged red could probably help with that kind of thing, but the character you've just seen, Fools, his Achilles heel in the raids is, of course, that he doesn't have any natural healing, like no renewal or anything like that. So if there isn't a healer, as is often the case in the public raids that I've seen, it's quite a challenge sometimes just to keep him up. So he's not ideal for raiding. But the reason I've mentioned it, I have been joining in a little bit of late. Quite happy with that. I've done some of the new raid Relentless. Despite the feedback, thanks for that, by the way, the feedback from one of you on that Ring of Binding. Apparently, for any of you who've got your eyes on it, the trigger rate is very low. I would still take it for my ranged, just as an artifact, because it could replace the Dino one I've got, give me an extra filigree slot in there, which would translate to a couple of imbue dice. So if nothing else, just that, and just the chance, the small chance, very small chance it is allegedly, to get a paralyzing trigger, I would take that. particularly because he does a lot of AoE. He has 3 AoE attacks, as you've seen on that arty build. So I think he'd get some use out of it. So that's my pot of gold at the end of that particular rainbow. Although I think it could be more sparkly than it actually is. Let's put it that way. I suppose that could bring us on to the last point I was going to make today about because I've just been talking about raids and characters not suitable and that kind of thing. And I guess, you know, sometimes when people ask, oh, what should I do if I'm making this kind of character? The answer is typically, what are you building for? If you're just doing a 1 to 20 or 1 to 30 one and done, you're building typically for front loaded power. I guess the casters would do that almost without thinking, front loading, maximizing power, quicken to put on their early SLAs and just taking it from there. But the like inquisitive type things, which are often run for a whole array of past lives, there's a very good template on the forums, the ultimate past life getter, which I'm pretty sure would follow the front loading all the power. And in that case, taking classes like Arty and Ranger, which auto grant several of the more desirable feats early in the life. Arty gets you rapid reload, the Ranger would get you precise shot and rapid shot. So getting those in early would get you a strong base to go and complete your TR off. Of course, the other side to that coin, as I've hinted at with my main character Fools, is the you know, the raiding scene. If you want to build a character for a raid, as I've seen by joining some of them recently, there's you tend to find concentrations of specific types of character, still inquisitives despite the recent small nerf, plenty of them, the monk shuriken throwers, and now I think bow users as well, monks, is coming back into fashion. Thanks, Mike, for the heads up on that. Apparently you can get into the 160s double shot with a bow archer because of some of the specifics around that. So the I guess not Monksha. Monksha was the thing that used the 10,000 stars, wasn't it? I think that's off the table now, but they can be pretty decent. So I'm led to believe. But yes, a lot more specific and typically ranged, I think, like Relentless Raid is a case in point. The melee really take a kicking, don't they, from that spinning blade attack. So if you've got a group of ranged round the edges of that map, just beating on the Relentless thing, I think that's the optimal strategy, as it is in many raids. So if you're building for end game raiding, some form of range build, I suppose, is the way to go. I won't change me. I'm set in my ways. I like how I've got it set up now with one caster, one melee, and one ranged character. And I certainly wouldn't want to ditch one of them, like say the caster, as they're in a bit of a tougher spot at the moment, and make it into a second ranged. Just wouldn't be fun for me. And he still has plenty to give to our little group. That druid which you've just seen, his CC is very nice. The heals are good when I use them. He's good for keeping our focal points, our melees or tanky characters up. So yeah, I've no complaints. Of course, I'd like to see some attention paid to them. I'm not saying a sweeping reform where suddenly they become the overpowered things again. But I think if I could choose one thing for the casters, I'd like to see something done on the epic strike side. They nerfed the dragon breath, which was the go-to for the casters, and I accept that. That was hugely strong. But there's a bit of a gulf now, and a lot of the epic strikes are just, even if it's not an epic strike, the epic SLAs, shall we call them, leaving something to be desired. We've had this conversation before, talking about the likes of Thunder Snow and that kind of thing. I think Thunder Snow could be good if it did what it said on the tin and perhaps had a bit of a shorter cooldown. But I've never seen any cold damage on that, so that's one case in point. So yeah, typically I'll follow that. What I'll pay attention to what I'm building for. Like if it's just a one and done and no gear at the cap or anything like that, I'll just try and get it to a semi-decent place, by level 7, 10, something like that, and just coast along from there. But if the focus is the end game, like with this, let's say with that paladin build I did with my melee character Fools, that's a good example of something that only really comes together at the end. And I think some of the thrower builds are similar, aren't they? They're horrendous to level. In fact, people might level them as something else, like an inquisitive or even melee, maybe. I don't know. Typically inquisitive, I think, until they get to the cap and all the pieces come together. Right, I'm not going to waffle on any longer. I think that'll do it for this one. A bit of a bits and pieces episode, but I hope there were some nice little gems in there for you, even though we didn't find our special shield. I'll keep you posted on that. Thanks very much, as always, for looking. I'll speak to you next time, and in the meantime, go Bears. Take care.